Good evening, students. So we have two very special guests for you. From SRM University, we have Dr. Anand Gaurav and Dr. Bhuvnesh with us. They are both PhDs, and Dr. Anand is a PhD from IIT ISM Dhanbad. We're very happy to welcome both of you in the webinar today. We also have with us Ms. Shilpa Singh, who's the head of student engagement and Mindler, and she is having 25 years of experience in career guidance, life coaching, HR management, and teacher training. So over to you, Shilpa ma'am, and hoping to be a very, very exciting webinar ahead.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Soumya. Welcome, Dr. Anand Gaurav, as well as Dr. Bhuvnesh, and we're looking forward to interacting with all of you. I'm really excited about this topic because I think when we've been talking about automation or we talk about robotics, there is actually, apart from the fact that it's been happening for a while and there is growth that has been happening in the industry for a while, there is still a lot of uncertainty, fear, confusion about what is the future look like, which is the way to go when it comes to this industry. And the one thing that we have to remember is that automation actually, interestingly, has always been a part of what we've been doing. From the Industrial Revolution onwards, we've been automating things, and that's how we've been improving. So I think when it comes to students being able to look at automation, being able to look at robotics, that whole element of will this it end up changing what our jobs will look like? Would there be a lot of disruption? Are we going to not be able to do the kind of work that we've been able to do so far? To some extent, yes, it will change. And the thing is, it's important for us to remember that that change is actually a good thing. When we look at automation, whether it's in a business function or you're looking at a simple thing of being able to automate a routine task, what you're actually doing is removing the mechanical function of it. I mean, you've got Tesla with creating a humanoid sort of robot to be able to take care of mechanical tasks as well to be able to do that. And why is it that automation and robotics now becomes important in our industry? In India, so far, I think when we've looked at the industry and we've looked at how the industry in robotics has been growing till now, a lot of the robotics work had so far and primarily been towards the automotive industry. And I always tell students, I mean, the automotive industry with robotics is what has allowed car companies to be able to turn out and turn around and build cars as quickly as they do, and for us to be able to have that. When we're looking at whether it's the textile industry or you're looking at any form of sometimes the handloom element getting impacted, but when a lot of those elements are there, automation has been helpful in being able to speed up processes. When we looked at elements related to being able to do things even with something like Tally or with Excel, that is also automation, right? We are automating our routine functions when it comes to business processes as well. So to fear automation or to be able to fear that element of it would probably be incorrect. What I would like to be able to tell you is perhaps look at elements of automation and look at those aspects more from the perspective of it may be automating a mechanical task, but what it is allowing you to do is freeing up your mind and freeing up your brain space to be able to look at very different ways of thinking, to be able to develop a whole other set of skills, to be able to look at the higher order thinking, where your design thinking will come into play, where your element of creativity will come into play, where your element of being able to think of the next big thing comes into play. If we get stuck in routine tasks of being able to, have to do every task in a routine manner or mechanical manner, you're only going to get bogged down. And I think, therefore, students going forward, when we talk about elements like and words like artificial intelligence and robotics and automation get thrown out, and I hear a lot of students get very anxious about, are we going to get replaced? No, we're not. The cars haven't replaced us. um, you've not had every single element of human beings being replaced by machines. It's not those are That's more the Terminator movies where we look at those things, and I think that may be more the nightmare scenario. But I don't think, apart from the option of it becoming an element of a horror movie or a movie that is sci-fi, I don't think we have too much to worry about that. What we also need to remember about robotics is the application of robotics in how it's going to be is going to be even more multidisciplinary than we thought. Like I said initially, mostly we've been using robotics when it comes to aspects like the automotive industry, where we were looking at large scale production taking place, or you're looking at use of robotics when it comes to, say, using hazardous material, where you don't want to put risk of human life in there to be able to have exposure. So the robotics ends up coming there with being able to help there. Robotics now getting used in so many other areas. So robotics in the healthcare industry, not only from the perspective of being able to do things that are difficult tasks, but from the fact that robotics allows for highly precision surgery to take place. So brain surgery, eye surgery, spinal surgery, where that 1 millimeter one way or the other is going to make the world of difference, even in that much. Um, where that much is going to be a huge impact, and you have to keep that in mind. So robotics in medicine, robotics in diagnostics, when we're looking at diagnosing. So for all of you who are physics, chemistry, mathematics, or physics, chemistry, biology, if you had thought that, if I get into robotics, then I don't ever have to worry about anything else, I can only focus on PCM. Well, here's the thought: you need to be able to think about multiple industries, because robotics is also growing in the hospitality industry. We're seeing robotics take a very steep climb. Japan has always been like on the forefront with robotics and what they use robots for. So you've got robotics in the hospitality industry, where you have an entire, robot army kind of checking people in and kind of removing that um, confusion element. Robots as companions. So a lot of people, again, Japan being at the forefront of this again, more aging populations that we're seeing in a lot of different countries. Where in India, I think in our aging population elements, we're going to still take time. We still have a very young population that's going to be there for a while. But the aging population, when you're looking at Europe, you're looking at Scandinavia, you're looking at Japan, there the robotics element is coming in to be able to uh, provide forms of companionship, where there's a conversation coming in. So a very great blend of robotics with artificial intelligence coming in, that's going to allow for that to take place. And I think we'll see it more in those countries as we go forward. So it's important for us to be able to think about that. Now, when it comes to robotics, and of course, I have the experts here with me who will be able to correct me. I think robotics becomes a really amazing amalgamation, or all the different sides of engineering coming together. So whether you're from the mechanical side or the electrical electronic side, or you're coming in from the software side, there is a space in robotics for you. And I think it's important to be able to look at that and be able to have that skill set come into robotics. If you're somebody who's in class 11 and 12 right now, it's important for you to start working on robotics to be able to start understanding it. So joining a robotics club is a brilliant idea. If you don't have one in your school, start one. Building robots can be expensive, but there are a lot of people who will kind of build parts and build robots together, and then take them apart, and then they take part competitions, and then whatever wins, they take that apart and invest that money into building more robots. So there's ways of being able to do it. Your primary aim should be to be able to look at, how do I make something easier? So in robotics, I think, and of course, Dr. Bhuvnesh and Dr. Gaurav will, of course, be able to correct me and improve my input there. In robotics, the inspiration can come from anywhere. So, say, for example, if the inspiration is to be able to try and create something that takes care of a task, say, it could be a cleaning instrument that you want to be able to have it take care of cleaning, cobwebs, and that's tough for people to reach. If I was to say that, okay, we had a huge hall, like if you think of a banquet hall in a hotel, and I say that you have to be able to take care of cleaning all the cobwebs that are there on the roof and on the ceiling. How many people do you think it would take me to be able to take care of a really large hotel banquet hall? How many people would I need in order to have that cleaning take place? If somebody could give me guess, I need to have a very, just think of the biggest banquet hall you can think of, and I want you to be kind of telling me a little bit, how many people do you think I'm going to need to be able to clean that? Yeah, 100, maybe 150 people. I'd have to have 150 people, or maybe 100 people, to be able to be there with those really long brooms and start cleaning and keep going. But if I looked at, And Anu, I mentioned that, think of the biggest banquet hall you can think of. But if I look at robotics, then robotics gives me that solution. What if I thought about I wanted to be able to get to the ceiling? I wanted to be able to have something be able to take care of cleaning the entire one length of the ceiling. Um, Tell me, if I was to want to take my inspiration from an animal, what animal should I take my inspiration from if I want to be able to build a robot that's going to allow me to be able to sweep a ceiling of cobwebs? Think of an animal who's going to be a spider. Yeah, maybe a giraffe. Okay, I like it like shit. A monkey to be able to jump from place to place. Um, yeah, Mohammed, you're absolutely right. A giraffe, everybody's thinking about really long necks. A lizard, yes, okay, yeah, typically that can be there. Yeah, spiders and lizards are going to be good ideas. Monkeys, if we want the robot swinging from place to place, but absolutely right. Your inspiration is going a lion. Oh my goodness, that's going to be a scary kind of thing. A chip, I agree. So when you're going to be looking at a robot and being able to have that, you will still use nature as your inspiration. So you would have to think, you would have to think from how it moves. What are you going to use to be able to have it move? And so your robot is going to be inspired from nature. So therefore, remember, you're going to have to think about the world from a very different perspective when you're thinking about robotics. You're going to have to be able to think about the world from taking inspiration from different walks of life. So you could take inspiration from animals, you could take inspiration from insects, you could take inspirations from lizards or giraffes, because that seems to be quite the popular inspiration animal today. So today is the giraffe animal day. But yeah, all of these areas will end up helping you. So where like we had somebody say, I think Mohammed Yassin said that where you were going to need 100 people or 150 people, perhaps two robots, one on one side and one on the other, would take care of that. So mechanical tasks get freed up. Which could beg the question that does that mean I'm going to have lots of people lose jobs? No, that just means that we will need to learn differently. We will need to be able to build our skill sets differently to be able to ensure that we are taking care of growing our higher order thinking skills. So critical thinking, our logical thinking, our analytical thinking, our design thinking, those things have to be able to then grow for us so that we are able to contribute in a very different way to either our own businesses or to organizations as well. So I do want to be able to get some, I mean, I don't want to be the person who's kind of taken over the entire webinar. My apologies. I want to be able to get our esteemed guests to be able to answer questions as well. It would be great if we could have your cameras on now. I think it'd be wonderful for them to be able to see you. So we have really excellent faculty with us today. They're here from SRM. They're going to be able to answer some questions for us that is going to help us understand a little bit better. So I pose this question. If I want to be able to kind of look at a degree in, robotics and automation, or I want to be able to have that happen, what are the kind of jobs that can come my way in the future? What are the things that, your university is preparing students for in terms of what industries or what kind of jobs that can come forward? So if you could shed some light on that.
Yes, actually, thank you very much, Shilpa Singh, to provide me this opportunity to interact with the students that perhaps help them to see their career opportunity, future career opportunity in the field of robotics and automation. So, first of all, I would like to say when a student gets enrolled in a course like robotics and automation, it's not the one subject that he is going to study. He will have to be not a jack of one trade, but he'll have to be a jack of all the trades. He should not be a master of one skill, but I would say that he needs to be a jack of all trades. Means he should know the mechanical engineering, he should know the material science, he should know a thing about computer programming, he should know about the electronic circuits, motors, encoders, all those things. When those components combine together to form a really good output, to provide us with a very good output, we call them a true robotic engineer who can impart all those things together to create something new and really outstanding.
All right. And Dr. Bhuvnesh, also, if you could jump in, any particular industries you are seeing that are possibly going to be looking at more growth with both automation? I mean, automation, obviously, I think we're going to look at everywhere, but with robotics and automation, industries that you are anticipating, in your opinion, or that you think will definitely be looking at these areas?
Yes, of course, ma'am. Good evening to everyone. And I think, ma'am, you have already answered some of these questions in your speech, what you told me. Like you took this example of Japan, which is way ahead in robotics and automation. So, to be very specific, if we talk about the jobs, so see, the working of a robotic arm in the industry, you need a worker there, but how this robotic arm is to be maintained. That is the part of work of a robotics engineer, as Dr. Anand sir said, that he should be master of all the branches related to robotics, because it is not only related to electronics or computer science. It is the base is your mechanical engineering, then the inclusion of electronics, electrical engineering, and then computer science engineering, and also some part that is related to circuitry is from electronics engineering. So you should be able to know each of these things, right? You should have all the basis related to these branches, and then as someone asked about the specific jobs, so there can be some industrial robotics. I mean, some robotic arms which are used in companies, and then some automated movable robots also, right? So in that case, some students can work. I mean, there are chances or there are options for the movable robots. Students can work on these types of robots. Like as you said that these days robots are required for hazardous environment, because human being cannot go there. So uh, mobile robots can work very well in uh, those areas, right? And thus, if we talk about these specific areas related to the jobs in robotics, so yes, when you have to design a robotic arm or a complete robot, then when there are already robots present there and you have to maintain, because workers cannot maintain the robot or robotic arm. So there is the requirement of the robotics engineer.
All right, so great. So whenever there is, apart from the building of robots or creating them, the maintenance of robots or robotic arms is going to require robotics engineering. And we have a really interesting question of what kind of subjects should a student be focusing on when they're looking at wanting to be able to build so we build a career in automation and robotics. So you did mention that, of course, you need to be a jack of all in terms of being able to understand a little bit of everything. But say, for example, if someone's there right now studying, is there one area that has a little bit more advantage, or actually it doesn't really matter? You can be from any area within the sciences in terms of PCM, or any one specific space. So if you could shed some light on that. You might also, Dr. Bhuvnesh, need to hold your mic up a little bit more, because I think then students will be able to hear you more
Yeah,
clearly.
sure, ma'am.
Much
Actually,
better.
this is a very interesting question, and I would like to compare it with human body.
Hmm.
As someone is saying that what is the specific area, so let us take the example of human body. So first of all, you need a body so that it can work, right? And then you need a brain there, and then the muscles are also required so that it can move. So everything is very important with the body, the brain, and the muscles. Without I mean, in the absence of any one of these, it cannot work. So you can compare now your field of robotics with these three things at least, right? So you need the design, that is the basic structure of the body. So where there you have the requirement of the knowledge of mechanical engineering itself, that is the design part, and then fabrication part.
Mhm.
And if we come to the brain, that is the circuitry and the uh, programming part, that is coding. So you need to have some knowledge, uh, like the knowledge of basic coding languages at least, and then how the muscles, that is the electrical part, you should have the basic knowledge how these muscles or the actuators are going to work. That is, it can be related to motors or it can be related to hydraulics.
Right.
So
Okay.
now
All right.
the student has to decide in which field the student want to work, whether it is related to coding or whether it is related to design.
Right. Okay. So great.
So,
So I like that analogy. Yes, yes, Dr.
yes.
Anand, please.
So if you want to classify the courses that a student need to study during his courses in robotics and automation, we can classify them on the subject on the basis of mechanical engineering. As
Mhm.
Dr. Bhunesh told us, the material and the subject could be from designing of a simple component like gears or motors or a shaft to designing of a large component, like you want to design an arm of a robot. So
Right.
you need to understand what kind of material actually you are going to use, what kind of machining process you are going to implement on that, so that the robot can have a very close tolerances. Because during your session, I heard you were saying that nowadays the robots are performing surgery. We call them a minimum invasive surgery. Okay. And it's a dimension of millimeter or nanometer that defines the life or death of a patient. Okay,
Right.
so that's the precision and accuracy. These are the two terms that cannot be attained by a simple mechanical engineer. They can give you the material, they can give you the component, but these are the electrical engineers who need to precisely calibrate those tools. So, and then we need a sufficient programmer who can actually code a program that can control the movement of the robot, which is going to ultimately control the gear and movement. So you see, it's as I told you, we must have a collaboration of different engineering fields. Means it should not be a only student from robotics and automation is going to work on a project. For that, we can have students from computer science department. We can have students from electrical and electronics department. We can have students from different branches of engineering to be merged in one, so that we can have a really successful course in robotics and automation.
Wonderful. So I also want to get a little bit of an idea about the course that you have now started and the course that you are offering. And if you could tell me a little bit about that, about the contours of it. So we've understood that all the different elements will come together. We don't become an expert in one, that's a coming together. Like, and I think the analogy of the human body is amazing. There isn't one part which you can say is more important than the other. You need the brain as much as the heart, as much as the arms and the legs. So all of that is
Yes,
extremely important to
all.
get something moving. And I think that's a wonderful analogy to be able to give for robotics in terms of the areas coming together. But I would like to be able to know if you could share with the students what is the course that you are offering now. I understand this is a new course, so you're looking at being able to, you were mentioning that there's been a lot of input that's come in. You're trying to be able to kind of make it a course that's going to be for the future. So if you could share that and tell us, the entire course, what it's about, and what students can do to be able to, apply for it and go forward.
Get into the course. Yes, exactly, ma'am. So many of us don't know that this is not a new course. We have been running this course for the past uh, for 3 or 4 years, and we have one batch of our engineers, professional students with professional degree in robotics and automation in next year, that is May, June 2022. So we are going to produce one batch of engineers. So the syllabus has been modified, because we know national education policy is there, and we have to modify our syllabus, keeping in mind that we are going to create the job creators, not the job seekers. And to be very honest, this is a budding field. This is a field in which I see a true potential. A student who can master any one of the field, that is either mechanical or electrical or computer science section of this robotics, he will be able to change the entire scenario in this robotics. So just to draw your attention, now I'm going to share the course structure that we have generated at SRM University, Sonipat, Haryana. And here you will see we have developed a course which is very inclusive. Means we have included some part of electrical engineering, some part of electronics engineering. We have also included IoT, blockchain, because these are the futures. Coding is the future. Now we as a human can only evolve through computer programming or the robots that we are making. I think we have hit the limit of human development, and now we are going to develop us in form of robots or something like that. So let me share the slide. Let me share the screen that gives you a course structure of the course Robotics and Automation that is going to be started by SRM University, Sonipat, Haryana. And
We're looking at you're going
so,
to make the science fiction true with making us
yeah,
humanoid.
means it's not like science fiction, being a science fiction robot. Uh, but we aspire to attain that, those kind of movement, those kind of robot. But to be very honest, the best we have done here in the field of robotics is done by organization many of us know. They are called as Boston Dynamics. They are a subsidiary of MIT, that is Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and they have developed some of the best robots in the world. Recently, they have on New Year, they have posted a video in which 4 or 5 robots, the robots were dancing in synchronization. I thought you must have seen that video went viral. So that's the kind of precision, that's the kind of control that we want. And that can only happen when robot can communicate with each other. And in movies, in sci-fi movies, we have seen that a robot which can communicate with each other has always become deadly for the existence of humans. So we will always try to keep command in our hand, because ultimately we are going to one who is going to service them, who is going to maintain them. So we'll always have to focus that we should not go for chitti nahi banana hai. We need to make something which is very constructive in a nature. Okay, so here in the I think my screen is visible. Is it visible what I'm showing? Okay, thanks, ma'am. So in first semester, we expose our students to very basic engineering, means those things they have already studied in their class 12, and now they are going to see their practical application. They have seen, they have conducted experiment on acids and bases and all those things. So we have developed, we have part of engineering. That's a very important thing. Engineers should know their calculation. So engineering mathematics is going to stay there. Engineering physics, that's all the application of all the physics the students have studied there during their class 12. Basic electrical engineering is just an extension of courses that we have studied in class 12. So you see, we have made our syllabus keeping in mind that the students should not get a sudden transition phase. Means the transition should be very subtle in existence. Means they should transform very smoothly, and we have created our course keeping in that thing mind. Apart from that, we have created NSS, yoga, and CC, because we believe in well-being of the student. And then we have mechanical workshop, which will enable the students to learn what are the function, what are the productive, what are the different manufacturing techniques which is required to produce a certain part for a robot, let's say for a robot or any component. The same thing we have done with our second semester. Up to second year, or we can say fourth semester, the student will learn everything about mechanical engineering. Means how to make a component, how to design a component, to how to manufacture that component with the required precision, accuracy, and surface finish. These are the 3 things we strive for in modern manufacturing. Okay, ma'am. And then in later sections of the semester, we will have courses associated with electrical engineering, like embedded system design. And then we will have core courses of fundamental of robotics. In this course, this is the first time that the student is going to get the real test of what a robotic is. What are the different things that a student need to work on, need to learn. And in this course, we have added one course, that is our pneumatics and hydraulic system. This is a major drive system which is changing the automation industry. You want an automation and you need to have install one of those. Means either you install a hydraulic system or a robotic system. So you see, we have created a lot, we have modified our syllabus, keeping in mind all the aspects, all the fields that needs to be explored to become a really successful engineer graduate in field of robotics and automation. I think Dr. Bhuvnesh would like to add something to the course, to the question.
So hydraulics,
Yes.
automation, yes. And Dr. Bhuvnesh, your inputs, please. Yes.
Ma'am, because this syllabus is with Dr. Anand, but I would like to entertain one question which was very good there. In starting, I read that question because someone was asking this mechatronics subject is the basic or the core subject, and then robotics, what is the difference between this mechatronics and robotics? So if someone is saying that mechatronics is the core subject, I will say that it's not the core subject. Core subjects are there, those which are directly related to physics. I'm sorry, I'm just diverting it, but I found it very interesting. So I would say that this subject of mechatronics is not the basis or the course subject, right? So it is made up of because of this electronics and mechanical, and then some part of computer science. And you can say that robotics is the subset of mechatronics. Robotics is subset of mechatronics.
All right. Okay. So, and for
Okay.
that, of course, at the core of all that is physics. So, in
Yes.
order for us to be able to get into that whole space, I need to be really excited by physics and then be able to get into into any other area. So, the mechatronics ends up becoming my umbrella within which there are all sorts of different areas I'll be involved in. Have I
Of
understood that
robotics.
correctly?
Yes. Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Robotics is part of this mechatronics. And one more question, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm taking that
No, no,
much time,
you please, you have
but
to answer the questions that the student has said. This is what it's for. So this is brilliant.
there is this question related to physics. Why we need to study physics? See, if you are going to become an engineer, so you have to study the physics. Basically, physics is nothing. What we have observed, what happens in nature, we have observed it and we have made the laws, or we have written the laws according to that. We have not created anything. We are just studying these laws and we have written those laws as physics, right? And engineering is the application of those laws. So in physics you are studying those laws, and in engineering you are applying those laws, and you are creating something from or with the help of these laws.
Right. And I think a
Yes.
lot of times students try to be able to understand that why do I have to do the physics, chemistry, and maths if I want to become an engineer, I want to get straight into it. The point is everything is talking to without they are talking to each other, right? Even the chemistry will talk to it, the physics will talk, the mathematics all works together. So at the core of it all, if you're not getting an understanding of how the three will interplay, we're going to have a tough time being able to understand how the application of it will interplay. So
Yes, exactly.
it's important for us to understand the theory of it interplaying before we can understand the application of it interplaying. All right, that's
I
wonderful.
have one example.
Yes,
I
yes,
have one example for that. uh, for those who are asking about the importance of chemistry, physics, and mathematics, see, when we were kids, we were taught this counting and the tables, right? And we never asked what is the reason why we are studying this. And after so many years, we even don't know when we learn these things, and now these are part of our life. We don't even need to think about it. We know the counting and it is everywhere in our life. So for the life of an engineer, you will find these things at every step. So you don't need to go for specific subject. After some time it will be there in your mind. So you can say this is the basic for your engineer.
all right.
Means
So
basically in physics and chemistry, what we do, we observe what are the phenomena which are taking place around us,
yeah,
and we assign them numbers and equations. That's all. Uh, right now, I can give you an example of javelin throw. Right now, we won an Olympic gold in javelin throw. So you know the world record is almost 100 meters.
yeah,
So world record that time, then organizers thought that this might be some might incident might take place during the track and field observation. So what they did, they modified the design of the javelin so that now they can never be pushed below or beyond 100 meters to keep other athletes safe. Now the thing is here to think about that, what led us to that modification? Why did we actually modify the rules? So all these things, we know that when we throw a projectile at an angle of 45 degrees, that is going to cover the largest distance in horizontal space. But again, now whatever we do, we cannot defy. Now we have modified the science to defy the science, we can say. So that's all I want to say about physics and chemistry.
that's brilliant. And I've learned something new as a non-science person. I've learned something new today that I need to be able to throw something at 45 degrees for it to be able to cover the most
Yes,
distance.
that's the projectile
So
we are talking
I'm
about.
going to have to make sure that I keep that in mind. The next time I'm trying to throw something somewhere, I have to keep the 45-degree element in. And sadly, I was the one person that messed up geometry the most in school. So hopefully I'll be able to figure it out. But that's a good piece of knowledge. I did not know that. So so therefore, obviously, then the subject requirements for studying the course would end up becoming physics, chemistry, and mathematics, right?
Mathematics. Yes,
So
yes,
yeah, Amar, absolutely right. Right now, we know, but the next time you're trying to be able to play basketball or you're trying to be able to
yes.
get the right shot in cricket, you need to aim for 45 degrees is what you need to be able to go for us to be able to do that. So I guess our cricket team has figured that out with what they've been doing, that the 45-degree magic angle has to happen there. All right, great. So physics, chemistry, mathematics is, yeah, volleyball too, man.
Yeah, yes,
Absolutely.
that's
So and
exactly.
so we need to be able to figure that out, and be able to work with that and work. So when we're looking at elements of being able to study anything related to the whole mechatronics umbrella and being able to look at robotics automation within that, physics, chemistry, mathematics will end up becoming important areas for us to be able to look at. I do want to be able to get to know a little bit more about some of the facilities that are available at SRM for the students to be able to kind of grow their knowledge, and what is it that they are able to do, with this facilities provided, what kind of industry interaction, what kind of projects can they work on, because obviously being able to do that hands-on work is very important, to be able to get that exposure. So if you could shed some light on that, that would be great.
Means in SRM University, as I told you, the robotics and automation lab does not, or department does not belong to one department.
Right.
Means students who are going to get admission here in SRM University in course of robotics and automation, they will be exposed to multiple departments. Like initially they are going to attend first year classes with all the other departments. Then they are going to exclusively join the mechanical course. And once they are done with the mechanical course, they are going to interfere in electrical courses. And ultimately they are going to learn the programming. So you see, we have the labs, which is scattered throughout the campus. We have the labs of mechanical department in our basement. We have the labs of computer programming on our fifth floor in our engineering block. And then we have a separate automation lab. Yes, that's a new thing that we have added to our bucket, that we have added to our portfolio. That is SRM Siemens Center of Excellence, or in short, we call it SSCOE, Center of Excellence. And there we have established a lab in which we are teaching our students. We are teaching our students. We are interacting with industries. You know, the vicinity in which SRM University is situated, we call it Kundli Industrial Estate. Means it's a industrial estate and small industries are there. So we are interacting with them. We are trying to pull them to our campus so that those people, we call them MSME. Right now, PM has made some announcement regarding MSMEs that they are the largest contributor to the GDP of India. And now we are targeting them. They have those manpower which are not skilled or semi-skilled. Now what we are telling them, that you give me manpower, we'll teach them, we'll make them leading industry ready. So what we are trying to do with the nearby industry, at the same time, we are trying to impart the same knowledge to our students. Right now we are taking a training session on 3x3D engineering, which is being done at SSCOE. And right now NXCAD is going on, then after NXCAM. And these are the software which actually virtually shows you what are the manufacturing process or what are the techniques we are going to use to design a particular component. And to be very honest, this is the only institute, this is the only university in NCR region which has this facility. Okay, we have right now we have bought CNC lathe machine, and that's a very important part of our automation. Right now our second machine, which is vertical machining center, due, and it might be available within 15 days or by 15th of September. So you see, we are trying to improve our courses. We are trying to make our students more industry ready, so that they can get absorbed readily in the industry. The moment they leave this institute, they get placed, or they have the knowledge so that they can establish an industry based on automation and robotics. Because we are running short of, Japan is a leading producer of robotic products. We know nowadays they are serving sushi.
Right.
Robots are serving sushi in Japanese restaurants. We
True.
know all about. So this is the thing, although it will take time, but we'll have to have an inclusive approach so that those things might appear in our country, and these budding engineers, those who are aspiring to join this course, they are going to play a very big role in making our country a robotic centric country. Let me call it a robot centric country.
Hmm.
Okay.
All right, that's wonderful. So I like the fact that you said that you're in an industrial area, you're interacting with small and medium sized industries, which are actually the ones that actually need a lot of input when it comes to robotics to be able to have that semi skilled worker better equipped to be able to handle the changes that are taking place. And everybody over here will need to understand that whether you're moving into an engineering space, or you're moving into a hardcore technical space, so to speak, when it comes to, say, robotics or mechatronics as the larger umbrella, you can't forget the fact that you are going to be working within the economics and the commerce of this. So the understanding of business will be very important. The understanding of creating efficiency in business is going to be very important, from reducing cost to increasing profits, to be able to making sure that you're controlling and keeping quality up. Because what, if anything, the pandemic has taught us is the fact that we are in a global environment, right?
Yes.
So we want to be able to kind of understand that when we're looking at a global environment, when we're looking at an element of being able to function in the world, we will need to be able to improve our efficiencies accordingly through automation, through robotics, to being able to do that. And I think with small and medium industries being the primary focus instead of much larger industries, of course, large industry has impact as well. What you also end up doing is empowering the small and medium sized industry. And also, in the long run, you're looking at more job creation. You're looking at more people being able to also build industry on their own that is based on robotics and on automation based tools. So there's also like that whole element of job creation that's going to take place as well. So I think it's really great to be able to have that interaction. And I think the SME impact and the interaction with SME is also important, because you are able to, as a student there, then really understand what are the real life everyday problems of a business owner that they're facing, rather than it being a theoretical, this is Maruti or a large company and there is some problem somewhere that you're trying to fathom. But in a small and medium-sized industry, I think the massive advantage that comes is you're very hands-on with what their problems are, so you're able to provide solutions. So I think that kind of interaction is very valuable for students to be able to look at. Um, are there also are you also hoping to be able to have internships that will take place then, that students will be able to do with these industries?
Yes,
And
yes,
with
definitely. That's our approach. We are interacting with the industry. We are telling them about our facilities. Once they get to know that our students are trained in a campus like SRM University, which has all the required facility to facilitate a course like robotics and automation, our student will inevitably become recruitable.
yeah.
Means the industry will definitely going to recruit them, keeping in mind. But before that, we need to tell them that these are the facilities we are providing to our students, so that they become industry ready.
Yeah, but I've seen in the syllabus also you've mentioned
Yeah,
things
yeah,
like,
our
you
syllabus is
know,
very inclusive. One
yeah,
more
you
thing, whenever I take a session like this, most of the students ask me, sir, this robotic and automation is killing jobs. Means they
mm,
are killing jobs by taking away most of the job which are maybe human or two human. Means, but I mean to say that I want to tell them that we need humans to create robots.
mm,
Right now, we are creating fabrics. Right now, we are creating sugar from cane sugar juices. But what if in future robots are being, because robots are handling these things, make obviously more sanitized. The thing is more hygienic.
yeah,
Nowadays, we get a packaging that no human hand is included in packaging of this food, or this is a completely automated process. So this is the safety that comes with robots, that comes to our mind, that when a robot is doing a certain kind of thing, that thing is going to be good.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's a common thing that we have in our mind. We go to some supermarket and we see a packet in which packed by robot, and we instantly buy it, even if the cost is 100 rupees more. So there are people who are willing to pay more for those kind of product which is made by robot. One more thing, I will give you an example. If I'll ask a human being, if any person, I don't know how experienced he is to make a common component on a lathe machine continuously with same dimension, at some point of time, their accuracy will be something different.
yeah,
But if
absolutely.
I'll assign this job to a robot and a CNC lathe machine, I'll guarantee you the quality of product that we are going to get is unparalleled.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the inclusiveness of this course. We are teaching the students about the machines, and not the machines, the peripherals that are going to be used with robots in upcoming time.
Right. So whenever we're looking at it, we're going to look at it from elements of the fact that there is higher accuracy, there is much more sanitized, into. So immediately with that, we've got an application of robotics coming into the food industry. We're getting applications of robotics into so many other spaces there as well, where you need components for a certain machine to be exactly the same. All of them have to be the same in order for that to function. So I think that the application when it comes to comes to applications in different industries is huge. Yes, Abhinay, you're right. Robotics has entered the medical field, and I think what's going to happen is for future doctors, what's going to be important for us to remember is not that they're going to be replaced. That can't be replaced. A robot can't replace a doctor. That whole element of being able to understand diagnostics much better. Yes, will I be able to use AI to be able to get a faster diagnosis? Possibly. Will I be able to look at research material from across the world very quickly to be able to come to possible elements of diagnosis? Yes, but will you still need a doctor with expertise to be able to interpret results, to be able to have that whole element of connect, to be able to have that aspect to be able to help? Yes, that's going to be there. And I think more and more doctors are also going to need to understand that in order for them to be highly efficient in their things like surgery or being able to do precision work, and or even in pathology or in diagnostics, that help of being able to use the machine, and to use either an automated process or to be able to use a machine is going to only be able to help them. So again, that whole multidisciplinary and multidimensional thinking process has to be there. So I may be only looking at wanting to become an engineer, but I can't ignore not wanting to know about business. I may be wanting to become a doctor, but I can't ignore not wanting to know about robotics, or about management or anything else. So we are moving more and more, more and more availability in terms of multidisciplinary learning that's coming in. So great. These are some of the areas that I did want to be able to talk about, and I did want to be able to touch on. I think we've kind of sort of covered a lot of those areas. So if it can, so the engineering element we know is important for us to be able to have. Is there a general science degree or a general bachelor's degree also that can still apply? Like, can I come in from physics directly as well,
Uh,
or no?
no,
Will
ma'am.
it?
Means BSc Physics, we require to have you physics, chemistry, math as a subject, as a core subject in class 12.
Right,
And you can get admission in this course if you have a diploma in electrical engineering, or sorry, diploma in electrical engineering or mechanical or computer science or something like that. Okay, so we have a provision of lateral entry, that is student not really from PCM background, they can get admission in this course as well. But because what we need is uh, what we can call it as the student need to have a vision.
right, right,
Yeah, they need to have a vision. What they, whether they have studied mathematics or not, they have studied physics, that does not matter. What they need to have is a vision, so that they can visualize things, because making a robot is making something that has been never done before.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We can say like that. uh, in very beginning we had a robot which had a very poor precision or accuracy, and nowadays we are using robots for surgeries and operation. So you see from what point we have modified, we have come to a point where we are, and we are still evolving.
Right,
We are still
absolutely.
evolving. So it does not mean that a student who has not been able to complete his class 12 in PCM, if they have a degree in diploma in mechanical or electrical, they can surely join this course in SRM University.
Wonderful. So in school, I need to have studied physics, chemistry, mathematics to be able to apply and be able to apply for the course and be able to look at it. So PCM requirement is there for sure. And if there is somebody from the IB board who, that's a really good question, who does not have possibly chemistry, because the International Baccalaureate Board will allow for physics and maths, or one science and one math. So is that still all right? Can a physics and maths
Yes,
combination also apply?
yes. I think those who has a degree with physics and science, physics and mathematics can definitely apply for this course.
All
Yes.
right, great. So, Vijayalakshmi, I think you would probably need to be able to have a physics and a math at the HL level for the IB board specifically, for it to be at par, for them to be able to look at it. So that would be something that they would look at and be able to explore. So it would need to be at the HL level, I think. So that would be important for them to see. All right, great. Soumya, is there anything that you would like to be able to add, or is there anything that either one of you feel that I may have missed out on, that you can add on that you think is important for a student to be able to keep in mind when they're looking at this course, or what should they keep in mind when they're thinking of the future? I would be very happy if you could share that with us.
Yes, means students who are willing to take this course should not focus upon getting recruited in India. Nowadays, we know that we are in a year of globalization. Means we are creating engineers here, and they are being exported to other well-to-do countries like USA or Canada or any country who is really into development of robots or their parts. So the career opportunity does not stop here. Right now, as I told you, nowadays robots are being used everywhere, from a simple manufacturing plant in Maruti or in General Motors. Now they have most of the work being done by robots. So we require it's robotics and automation engineering is not about creating a new kind of robot. It's also try understanding how to maintain a robot so that it can keep on working for a longer period of time, or how to modify a robot according to the existing problem, because we created robot because we had problems which we were unable to solve by ourselves.
Right.
We as a human, now we have totally moved humans out of spray painting in car panels. They are completely done by robots, and those type of robots are called as continuous path control robot. Okay, since I teach this subject, so I can shed some light on the topic as well. So these are the things that uh, we need to focus. We keep in our mind that it's not only about getting recruited, but also getting about creating jobs. Why we are importing robots from Japan or US at a very costly price? Why can't our robotics and automation engineer create a cheap robot? Because in India, we love cheap things. To be very honest, if someone is getting hurt, please don't take it
No,
otherwise.
no, we're
But in
very
India,
cost
we really
conscious.
look
We're
for,
a very
we are
cost
really
conscious
cost
country.
efficient people.
Yeah.
We are really, yeah, this is the right word. We are really cost efficient people. So why don't we in India try to create an industry who can support our industry, Indian industry, to make them automate? Nowadays, we know that Ola is creating an industry based on electric scooters. So they require robots.
Yeah.
That Bhavesh Agrawal is the CEO, and he told that they require, and he also told that yesterday I was reading about an article shared by Bansal, who is the CEO, ex-CEO of Flipkart. He was telling that the amount of talent we are getting from the second and third tier colleges, those in excluding ITs and NIT, they keep all the colleges in second and third. And they told on the camera that the amount of talent we are getting from these institutes is very good, is enormous. And I'm really looking forward to recruit more of these people from tier 2 and tier, because they know if you are going to recruit a person, a robotic engineer from IT, you might end up paying 35 lakh rupees or 40 lakh rupees to him, because he is a graduate from IIT, and let's be very honest. But at the same time, if the same quality of engineer which can be provided to them at a reasonable cost like 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs, they will be happy to accept those students. So that's the thing we are trying to incubate. That's the thing we are trying to generate in our very campus.
Wonderful. I think somebody's asked a question twice about where can robotics be in the army? Well, I think bomb disposal for one, being able to send a group out to be able to do reconnaissance, to find out if a particular terrain has got landmines on it, and of course we've got drones to be able to help us figure out what's happening where. We've all had drones in the news recently a lot. So yeah, but that's the thing, and you never know that it's possible. You may have actually be able to have robots go forward to be able to do the actual fighting and not have as many casualties as we do. Yeah.
And to add your point, ma'am, I would say in future the wars will be fought from the offices only because of this automation.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you look at the way the US is actually controlling its entire war effort from sitting
Exactly.
behind a computer screen with the drones. The wars will be fought from the offices. I completely agree with you. Let's just hope there are no wars to fight. That's
Yes,
just after a
definitely.
pandemic,
That's
we
what we
don't
are
want more
looking
wars to
forward.
fight.
No
After
war,
what's
no
happening
war
in the
for this
world, no
world.
more wars.
No more
Please,
wars.
enough,
Yes.
Yes.
enough of wars. Yes.
Peace,
But
peace.
Uh,
but
so-
but ma'am, few things are inevitable and we cannot run away from these things, and everyone is apprehensive of these things. Everyone wants to avoid
Yes,
these things, but everyone has to be
we
careful.
yes, we
That's
hope
why,
for the best. We hope for the best, but we should prepare for the worst. Why not? We enable our
yes,
engineer
We
to
should
give
enable
us a
ourselves.
line of
You're
defense.
right.
yes,
Yes, on that.
Yes, and I think certainty is only death and taxes, as it is said, I think somewhere. So those are the two things for sure that will happen.
yes.
So yeah.
And
Uh,
for the one more thing I would
yes,
like
yes,
to
yes.
add, for the part of importance of robotics and mechatronics, see, industry is further evolving. Now everyone is moving towards industry 4.0, which is completely related to automation and
Yeah,
robotics.
yeah,
So if someone is worrying that robotics is killing the jobs, robotics these days is similar to the computers in 70s, 1970s. At that time, it was said that computers will kill all the jobs and people will be jobless. But now you can see it is a part of our life.
hmm, true.
And
Yeah,
in next few years, robotics will be the part of uh, normal people. So it will not be constrained only to the engineers. So it will be the part of the life of everyone. And now you
absolutely.
can see there are so many toys related to robotics or automation.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I mean, we were worried when the cars came about. We were worried when the loom came about. But it's a part of our lives today. We don't really think about a lot of those things that are there. You're absolutely right. So great. I thank both of you for your input. Thank you everyone for really great questions. And I think we've been able to get a lot of really interesting information today for what the future is going to look like. Soumya, your closing comments.
Yes, thank you so much, eminent speakers. Thank you so much. So the idea, students, is that robotics can be applied in any field, as we've discussed, ranging even from entertainment, space, medicine, army. So we've talked about a range of fields. In terms of eligibility criteria, we've majorly focused on sciences with maths as eligibility criteria. Of course, please check out the university website of SRM in order to know more details about the course. We've shared in the links. If you have any doubts related to your career or you're confused about the engineering options that you have, please feel free to reach out to us at hello@mindler.com. Thank you so much, audience.